All right, welcome to today's episode of the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast. We've got Joel again, and we are at Jim's HQ to do a tour to find out what the evil franchise system really runs like. And I'm nervous, but also excited.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Welcome here to the evil empire, we can say as well, for a lot of your audience in the Mowing countries. But we thought we'd get you out in person. You were out in Melbourne, and it's great of you to stop in and show you around the facility.
Yeah, show me what it's actually like here.
For sure. So basically where we are now is obviously this is the Jim's Group head office. This used to be an open plan office. This is our national support centre here. So we have different segments of the company, which I'll show you around. We have our own insurance brokerage internally here. So we've actually got Jim's Insurance.
Oh, really?
So, which is a really good thing. It's, people think, it's a way for Jim to make more money. It really wasn't. What happened was basically when we advertised everyone's got public liability insurance, all right? And then we found out that a lot of people didn't have it back in the day, or that the broker, Jimmy kept getting complaints from franchisees that the broker wasn't doing it. He's like, I can't do much about it. It's an external company. So he said, right, we've got to be able to do this better. So then back in 2011, he started Jim's Insurance, and then Yadrin, we got on board, and he basically, brought it all in-house, and every single franchisee who comes via Jim's has to have public liability, and we know they have it at all times, because if they don't, they lose their franchise agreement, or they get breached on it, then they can lose their franchise agreement. So we actually truly advertise everyone's fully insured, and we actually know 100% that they are. Yeah. Because a lot of people can get a certificate of currency and then cancel it, and then have that certificate, or they can look at the PDF, all that sort of thing. So,
or they had it elapsed, they forgot to...
Exactly right. They forgot to renew it, all that sort of thing. Yep. So obviously it makes money as well. It's not just running as a loss, but it makes money, which is great for Jim, obviously. But the main reason was that so that we didn't have anyone have an issue that could send the company under. Because if it just takes one claim, and then Jim's Group's on the claim, it could be $10 million claim or $3 million claim or whatever, then that's liable, to us. So, it's basically more to protect everyone as well. So that's Jim's Insurance. And then over here, we've got our really good divisional support team. So a lot of people might not know, but Jim doesn't own all the divisions. He owns some of them though. So the ones that we own, like dog washing, fencing, handyman, mowing and stuff like that, all have a divisional support person who look after the franchisees and the franchisors. Yep. And that's this team here as well. Bev in the back corner up there looks after Jim's Test and Tag division as well. So it's a pretty lean office when you think about how many franchisees there are in terms of the structure. And then Emma up the back there runs our national training. So
how many people are here?
I haven't done a head count, but in the national side of it, I would say there's probably maybe 50 to 60.
Yeah.
And then half of those are in IT and software development. So then we have our on-site call centre there, which has their own, obviously, staffing like 50, 60 at one time, which we can go in there and have a look in a minute. But half of the staff here in Jim's is pretty much IT, software, and then the rest is support, finance, and things like that. Yeah. Obviously marketing and videos.
Let's walk around and show you what it's actually like.
Yep. There's always work going on. So we've got things happy. Yeah. So where we are basically now, also over the car park, but the facility used to be a university. So when Jim purchased this, I can't remember when it was, back in the early 2000s, it suited him really well because it was, had a lot of space, a lot of room, and things like that. So this was the original building here, and then basically we have all the different departments around the place as well. So we've obviously got IT, we've got our boardrooms, HR, all that sort of stuff. We've actually got electric solar chargers, electric vehicle charging stations for employees as well. So he's pretty big on that sort of thing. So he's put all solar panels in around the place, batteries, that, and then all over there we have our call centre. So any call that comes by 131546, or the New Zealand number goes into our call centre. So let's go have a look in the call centre because I think it's a pretty...
How many people you got answering calls?
It fluctuates. So in spring, obviously, way more busier, so the staffing numbers will go up, and then in winter it drops down a bit, so they'll go down a little bit. So
and when you're taking in a call...
40, 50,
just making it so I understand it, because sometimes... What do? They say, well, we'll get someone to call you back?
Yeah, it's a good question. So sometimes franchisees can elect for a lead transfer across. So basically, if they want the person to be put straight through to them, they'll just transfer the person straight through them, which they can elect to do it. Yeah. If not, we take down the details, and then it goes to our lead allocation system and looks and allocates to the right person. So it goes, and it's a complicated algorithm of who it allocates it to, but it looks at who's the territory holder. Yeah. So if that address is in the person's territory holder gets it if they're down to take the work. Yeah. If they're not down to take work or they're away, it looks around and it does, who's next in line, all that sort of thing. And then it allocates the job to them, sends a text message, email to the franchisee. Franchisee gets those details and they've got to call them back ASAP. Yeah. So we do have a 2-hour window, but we know that, as soon as someone calls, they want something done now, call them back within a minute, 2 minutes. They generally most convert all the time. The longer you leave it, as you would know, the more likely to go to someone else. So yeah.
Especially if someone's in a rush.
Exactly there. So let's go and have a look.
Because we don't interrupt somebody actually doing some
We
good customer service.
we probably will be, but that's all right. They know I run.
Someone gets a 1-star review because Luke Smith came up and distracted somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, Shane. Just got an impromptu podcast interview. We're walking around.
Hey, I'm Luke.
Charlene.
Nice to meet you.
Charlene runs the operation here.
Right.
Just got back from Queensland as well. Nice and warm.
How many? What's an average phone call sort of number for the day?
The day, at the moment, we're looking at around 1,800 a day.
Right.
Come spring, summer, we're looking about 2,800 to 3,000 a day.
Okay, so like 3,000 is a busy phone calls a day. If you got a job here, what's the biggest gap you're going to get between phone calls?
Middle of winter, we might wait 4 or 5 minutes. Summer,
You don't get off the phone. Gee.
No, they do a really good job. It's tough.
you're just going to take one call after another.
Have you ever tried to get Joel on?
No, he mumbles.
No.
That's true.
Yeah.
We had Jim in here a while ago though doing one, and he was very surprised he booked a job. This was around a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't taken a phone call in my business for maybe 6 or 7 years. Well, actually, there's a lie. I did once because I was having a team meeting with my admin, and they went to Lou and the phone call, and I was like, I can do this. So I just answered the phone, and then I was like, I can't even remember how to book in a job, and I literally I just had to write it down on paper and give it to her. She came back.
See, we run a little bit differently in that our team leaders, we want our team leaders to be across everything and know how to do everything that the team can do. So when during those busy periods, in a lot of call centres, the team leaders just sit and wait for someone to ask for help, whereas we're actually all jumping in to take a call and clear that queue. So we make sure we keep our hands in the pie.
That's not only customers they look after franchisees and franchisors.
Right.
So they bring up for a whole bunch of things, reallocation of leads, change my work requirements because I don't do it on gyms online, all these things. So it's not just customers they look after franchisees and franchisors all the time too. So
we should go outside, and I'll call right now. I won't be able to
team are good. No
just
problem.
feel like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Hey, I've got a job. What's the address here?
So Luke,
That's when they right away go, I'm sorry, can't take your call. They'll think it's a dummy job.
Right. Do you get a lot of prank calls?
School holidays, we always get ones from the kids.
Yeah.
Bit cute.
there's been a few funny ones. We've actually downloaded the recording and made some videos with them and done some animations. So we had one when a guy was pretending to be a possum in a roof. And so we took that one and we put a cartoon to it and uploaded it and stuff like that. So
Okay, other than prank calls, do you have a memory of like a really strange but legitimate request?
We've had things like someone who had a party and wanted their lawns painted green because their lawns were looking a bit dry, so they wanted someone to actually come and paint it green so it looks good for the party. We've had someone who wanted a trap door.
A trapdoor.
They wanted a door put in so that the possum could come and go as it pleased, but only when it suited them.
So I can
They
automatic.
didn't want to lock the possum out completely, but some nights they just wanted to get a bit of sleep, so they wanted to be able to lock the possum out on those days, but otherwise it could come and go as it pleased.
Did you actually were you able to sort them out, or did you just go, I don't know?
No, we got a handyman to go and help them.
the handyman can do everything.
To
Yeah.
go have a look at it.
Jim's
Gee.
handyman can do it.
I wonder how the possum felt. Did they lodge a complaint? Anyway, nice to meet you.
You do.
And where do we go next?
We'll go around, but I'll just give you context. So Luke's from Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast, and he's interviewed Jim before. So and he does like road shows around as well.
We done some live podcasting, so I'm here for today.
Yeah, just have a look around and does a lot of stuff with the independent mowing guys. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, so he's come out to the dark side to have a look at us.
Mate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What it's all about.
my spidey senses are tingling.
thanks for that, Charlene. Appreciate it. Okay. Then obviously on the board you got all the stats and stuff, and Jim comes in pretty much every day. I know he does looks at the stats and all sorts of stuff, and he gives awards and things like that too as well. So
What's the stats reading?
it says answered calls on the left.
Yeah.
Unanswered calls, abandoned calls, average wait time as well. So Jim's always big on the average wait time.
30
average wait
seconds
time.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's winter, but...
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously in spring, there'll be more staff on and stuff to help with the demand. But yeah, Jim will come in every day and look at the numbers and he wants to make sure it's at a certain level.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where when people come to gyms, this is like really like... We advertise benefits, but we should advertise this a lot more because basically these guys, not only do they do customers, but the franchisees as well. So franchisees can change all their work requirements and stuff online, but they bring up all the time to get the girls in here to do it for them and stuff like that. So and franchisors as well, reallocate leads, all that sort of stuff. So there's not just customers; it's multiple people they look after too.
I'm guessing a lot of these people have been here for a while as well.
Yes, many years, absolutely.
Yeah. How long does it take if you're going to start? Someone's like, "Oh, this sounds like a great job."
They do like a multiple hiring rounds.
Yep.
And then they will hire a large number because they'll expect a lot of people to drop off because it's not an easy job. It's like if you deal with difficult customers and stuff, it can get you down.
Yeah, I was a very specific person.
Yeah, but they've got a pretty good retention rate, and a lot of the actual staff that you saw in there come from here. So this is like a stepping stone for the gyms group. So actually, our national training manager Emma started in here.
Right.
So she was doing uni, teaching, wants to do a part-time thing. Then she's a good operator. We hire for jobs all the time in there, and it comes over from there to there.
Yeah.
And now she's now national training manager in a short amount of time. So it's also a good feeder for us because they understand our system. So we use a system called FMS and Gyms Online, which is very unique to gyms.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff we do in terms of supporting franchisees is based using that system.
Yep.
The call centre is a great start for that because they know the system back to front. So that helps us. That helps them when they do their training. But it's a really good part of the system. As I said, franchisees and franchisors always rave about the team. We do all make mistakes as well, but they do a really, really good job considering the volume and the requests that come through. Because what you got to know as well, they've got to understand there's around 500 plus service codes in gyms too for the whole gyms group. So you got to know when a customer says something, what do I actually allocate that to? And if you allocate it to the wrong service code, you get an angry call from a franchisee, trying to cancel the lead and stuff as well. So they've got to understand what's the customer actually want. And what out of our 500 plus services in the group should I assign it to?
And how many franchisees, franchisors? Franchisees are the ones doing the work?
Correct.
And how many of them?
Franchisees numbers now is around 5,400-ish.
Right.
Changes every week.
So what you're getting then is 3,000 calls a day at max for potentially 5,000 different franchisees.
Yep.
Being run by what looks to be about 20 people.
Yeah, so it's quite a moment at the moment. They do have a few off-site though as well.
Well,
so
it is literally in the middle of winter.
Correct, but they do have a few off-site as well. So they're pretty good with their flexible work arrangements. They don't have to be in all the time.
Yeah.
They can work from home sometimes, so it does have a bit of flexibility. We're actually starting up in New Zealand as well. We're putting 2 in New Zealand, over in New Zealand.
As in call centres?
Yeah. No, not call centres, sorry. As in actually just people there remotely, just because of the accents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's for our New Zealand franchisees, and that's what they wanted. So, but I do a good job. It's a tough job, especially when you deal with complaints and stuff like that. But in saying that, it's been good for us because people still like to speak with someone who's based in Australia, who has the lingo and can understand what they want, as opposed to trying to get everyone to automated systems to book online and stuff like that. So it's a really big part of our thing. But it hangs around, our online leads still hang around the 33% mark because people still like using our call centre.
Yeah.
And you find multiple times that when we've done recordings and stuff for some videos, people ring up and say, I call up all the time, always get good service, things like, especially older customers as well.
Yeah.
The team's really good and patient, so they come across a lot.
That's the training centre, right?
No, I'm going to show you where the training centre is now. So that sort of is part of it.
That's the conference thing.
Yeah.
So here's my thing then, change subjects completely.
Yeah.
I've always believed that you've got sort of three different types of people.
Yeah.
Right? In a broad sense. You've got some people who, and most people, I'd say 80% of people, they're actually best suited as employees.
Yes.
If they're going to go for a career, maybe even more than 80%.
Yeah.
They don't like having to think about their work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, come in, clock out, do your job, do it well. That's what's good for them. But then you get the people who they're really made for running a business, small business, big business, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think those people can break into some people, they need support and structure.
Mm-hmm.
Some people hate having anybody over them. If you're going to be on that extreme, then there's the people in the middle.
Yeah.
So you got that spectrum, and then some people will be they're not a good fit because they're really on that side where they really, really want to work for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're a little bit nervous about the business, but as soon as someone starts telling them what to do, that's one of the reasons why they stepped out of employment or something.
Yeah.
Then there's some people over here that they are absolute perfect fit for franchise. They're going to be really successful in a franchise. Just personality types. It's not a right or wrong way.
Yeah.
Just some people see it differently. It might be frustrating in the middle for some of those people. Do you guys, when you're doing this process, do you have those sorts of conversations to be like, is this the right fit for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that's the job of our franchisors. So the franchisors who are responsible for selling the franchise in their region, it's in their best interest to put on someone they can work with. If they don't think they're a right fit and they put them on, and it's clear they're not a right fit and they come to training and we find out about it, we try and get onto them and give them a bit of a reprimand because they shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, I think in terms of franchising, well, we're pretty good from selection, but that's the franchisor's responsibility. And at training, we actually kick people out of training. So people who come to training who might miss a session and don't tell the head trainer, we don't pass them. And then we get onto the franchisor and say, why did you send this generally the franchisor's role to identify that because they've got to work with this person. So when a franchisee comes on board, you've got to expect they're going to be a 10, 15-year relationship with you.
Yeah.
Can you get on with them? Or if you've got some doubts about them, you don't put them on. Yeah. Don't chase the cash. Don't put them on because you'll make yourself a lot more problems down the track as well. But you're right. If you're too entrepreneurial, a franchise is not for you because if you're too entrepreneurial and you want to do your things your own way and go away from the system, you'll just get frustrated. So a franchisor should be picking that up in the meeting. Yeah. If you're someone who can follow a bit of the system, you follow the system and trust the system, you can't be entrepreneurial, absolutely. In gyms, you can build the business any way you want. You can do heaps of things and we have people who do that. But you've always got to follow those guidelines and be okay with that, then you'll be fine. But that's the franchisor's job to do that. And it's in their best interest to pick the right person because if they don't, it makes their life really, really hard. And if you have one bad franchisee out of 40, for example, you're going to be spending 95% of your energy on that one person. Yeah. It can make your life very hard. And I talk to a lot of franchisors and, you don't hear about the 39 good guys they deal with. You hear about the one person who's given them a lot of grief, and that's the person who brings down their whole week. So it's the franchisor's best interest to not chase the cash and just put anyone on to actually select the right person. But they should be asking all those questions. And it takes people don't buy the franchise quickly. It takes a long time for a lot of people. So over that time, they should be making sure they find the right person. It's in their best interest. What
I've noticed, and we've had this with employing people too, right? Yep. You get the wrong person, then they badmouth. For me, they'll badmouth me.
Yep.
I remember one guy we gave him a written warning about how he was talking to other people in the team.
Yeah.
We said it's, like when he was having a bad day or whatever, it was grumpy, ruined the mood. And I once got a phone call from one of our admins and she was in tears. You got to do the proper process. So it was like, we just gave him a call. Hey, mate, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow morning. And being frank with you, you're going to get a second written warning. We've got to chat about this. Second written warning, he thought it was ridiculous. And I said, well, if you think it's ridiculous, you probably should leave, because you're going to get your third and get fired. And so he quit. And then he badmouthed us about, which we didn't mind, because that's going to happen. But the reason I bring that up is because I feel like sometimes people... It's not necessarily that, when I think about that guy, he might not have been a bad guy. He was a bad fit for a customer service role where you're talking to people a lot of the time. And he ended up going to a role, I found out later, where he was sitting on a ride on mole most of the day and he wasn't having the problems that we were having there. It's a bad person. So it's not a bad person. It's the role doesn't fit them. And I see this sometimes with criticism of people of the gym system, where they say, this person was this or this person was that or whatever. And I think about it and I go, is it the case that your franchisor was a pain in the ass? Or is it like me where I was a pain in the ass to that employee and it was actually maybe there was some problems there, maybe you weren't the right fit, maybe it wasn't an assistant that really suited?
Well, you're right. It can be. It can be the franchisor. The franchisor and the franchisee they bring on just might not like each other, but that's on the franchisor. They shouldn't be putting them on. But you're right. That's why the franchisors are crucial in their process to not just chase the franchise sale and cash, because the experienced ones know that's not the way to go. Because at the end of the day, it causes them more headaches. And you're right, the negativity can feed for a region. You might have a franchisee who mass emails all the other franchisees in the division with a complaint, which has happened before about their franchisor, like that sort of stuff. And at meetings as well, we have we've got to have all these regular meetings and stuff like that. And if a negative person's in the group in front of the meeting, it can really
brings the mood,
brings the mood down, right? And it makes it tough for the franchisor. But end of the day, selection is critical, and that's on the franchisor to do it. It shouldn't come to us. We're in that training where we're saying, this person's not right at training, they shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
So we try and take a harder line with that as well. Emma, who does our training, is really good with that as well. She'll pick up on people and email the franchisor and say, hey, your guy hasn't come for 2 hours, where is he? And it's a bit annoying for us. Like, what is the franchisor told the actual prospect before coming here? Don't just come here and expect the training to do the sales and make it easy. You should be telling them, only sending us the best person you think. So, yeah, that's on us, and we can always be better with that as well. But you're right, it's on both sides a little bit. But a lot of people aren't suited to being a franchisee in gyms, but we need to be better in stopping that, because it just causes headaches. Like, you put the wrong person in, they paid this money, there's an obligation by us to support them as best we can, and they're just bringing everyone down and stuff like that. But that's on us as a franchisor in our selection processes too, and our salespeople as well. So we kick our salespeople in the national in the rear end if they put someone on who's just chasing their commission, because for that reason it just makes problems.
Yeah. And I think when you're talking about the scale that you're at, like, if I hired one bad employee out of every 100, you'd be like, well, in my time, I've probably hired 100 employees, somewhere around that. So that's a pretty damn good strike rate, because I'm worse than that, much worse than that, right? If you have one bad franchisee out of 5,400, you have 54 across the country that are challenging. Yeah. And from a business perspective, how to manage that, it's like, they're great numbers. What other business, if you get, they're the ones that are the challenge to give the bad reviews or whatever. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. Like, you look at stuff online and, the person who leaves a bad review about gyms, it shouldn't have been a franchisee in the first place, and then people take that on face value, which is why we encourage people to always call franchisees, or even former franchisees, to be honest, and see how they go, what their opinions are. But yeah, you're right, it's a really damaging thing to us, which is why, with selection process, like, we try and, in franchising, look, there seems to be, not just in gyms, but other franchise systems, people sometimes might think they just take everyone, but it's such a bad way to look at it. Because you're right, if you take money off someone who shouldn't be a franchisee, and they go troppo and they start posting everywhere and commenting here and all that sort of stuff, it's just really, really damaging. It makes a lot more hard work when you could have just said no in the first place and we wouldn't have this issue. They can go somewhere else. But, it's something we try and work on. Our first year failure rate, I think Jim said last time, was around 11%. So, we obviously want to get that down. So how do we get that 11% down? Well, we've got to just be real strict with selection. Yeah, if you just didn't hire those 11% because you had a crystal ball, correct. You'd be like, they're not going to fit. Well, that's what Jim basically says. He in training, he literally says at the end of his session, he says, if I could have one superpower, it'd be that I could hold a laser to you all and see who's going to fail or who's going to succeed. Because you just can't tell. Because you have people who come in as well. At the start, I've seen this happen as well. You think, ex-corporate manager, fantastic, says all the right things and stuff, and they become a nightmare in the first week. And then you see someone who comes from, might not speak the best or present the best or whatever, and they get that opportunity and they're an absolute gun. It's all about the character of what's inside the person, which you just can't, in interviews and stuff, you just can't tell. It's really hard. And it's really hard. We did a podcast a couple of days ago. It's not out yet, but it will be by the time this one comes out. And you go, I had exactly the same conversation about hiring people where, luckily, if I'm understanding correctly, the government's lifted the probation period to 6 months. 6 months, yep. From 3 months. Because I actually had said in the past, I think you should write in your contract, if you can, 6 months anyway, as long as it's legal and ethical, because it is so easy for people to put on a brave face for 3 months. We don't hire on resumes here. Jim will go on record saying that. We've had people who have got all the MBAs and all the franchise experience in the world, and they're an absolute disaster. Then we have people, come in from the call centre, for example, start in the call centre, no university qualification whatsoever, and become divisional manager and become the training manager or something and become great. Like, how can you tell? Whereas the person with the MBA, the law degree or whatever, is just rubbish. So you just can't tell. And that's why we don't really go much on resumes. Jim doesn't care about resumes at all. He cares about character and stuff like that. And I hire, Charles, who's behind the camera, has been fantastic. I've been lucky with my hires. I hire him more on cultural fit, vibe. It's not a science behind it. Marbo. A bit of a vibe, exactly. The Marbo thing, character. Will I get along with this person? If you think that, if that's the case, if you can get that at an interview, fantastic. But I think that's what you should hire first for. Then you can always train afterwards, which is what we do here. But let's have a look around here. Yeah. Cool. So this is our lecture theatre here. This has actually been adjusted over the years. Each one of those signs actually has a meaning on it as well. So they're not just random signs. For a division to get a sign on the wall, they have to have 50 franchisees. They get one.
if they get 2, if they have 100 franchisees at a division, and they get more if they've got, more franchisees. So all those signs are representative of those divisions. They've got 50 or more, or 100 franchisees or more as well.
Yeah.
So every 3 to 4 weeks, we have anywhere from 90 to 130, 140 people sit in these chairs, which have been upgraded. So these actually used to be green plastic chairs. They were very hard. We got a lot of complaints about them. But they've done a great job upgrading the lecture theatre. We've got a camera there where people can live stream in if they need to as well, which Charles set up. We have the big TVs on there for Zoom and all that sort of thing if we needed. But yeah, it's a really good facility. A lot of presenters present over here on the whiteboard, and pretty much this is it. We say sit for 8 hours over 3 days, and when the mower's out, the training are in progress. So
nice.
Yeah.
Do you ever get to a point where someone is, say you go through training, they're on the mower, and you just go, you need a bit more practice?
It's a good question. We actually don't train how to use a mower or anything like that here. So we don't do any practical skills or anything like that. No, we have Des who does and Matt and John who do training and stuff. They talk about it, all that sort of stuff. Has been raised before about we should be doing, 30 people should be doing it in here, but we don't do that here because we think this is not me saying this, but they say that sort of stuff, in the field with the trainer when they go away for a week and stuff, they'll pick up. It's more the other stuff about running a business, customer service, calling people back on time, presentation, how do you quote. That's the stuff which catches people more out than the actual doing of the work. Yep. And we have a really strict survey system. Like, it's unbelievably strict. And it'll flag us for them to do retraining. If they get like 6 complaints within a 6-month period or whatever it is, they have to do retraining. So their leads are turned off or restricted until they do the retraining. So we have a pretty strict process, but also their franchisor will be in contact with them every week. They set up with other franchisees and stuff like that as well. And a lot of guys who, before they come here, have done time with franchisees. So we actually had a guy in last training who worked with a franchisee for 3 years or something already, that moved up to Brisbane and bought a franchise. So a lot of people that come and become Jim's Mowing franchisees have been employees of Jim's Mowing guys too. So, yeah.
I wonder if, because one of the things that we do, I just, verbally processing it, we always give a trial day.
Yes, that's what we do. We call them observation days. Yeah. We used to call them trial days, but there's some legal issue with it, so we call them observation days. Yes.
Tell me the legal issue after, right?
Observation days, we call them, yeah. But
the idea is it's a paid day. Like for us, the way we do it is like you just come and pay with us, so work with us and we'll pay you. And at the end of the day, if you go, do you know what, this is not what I thought it was.
Same, yeah. Perfect.
Great, no worries. Like it's better to have it go now. And then, if we go, hey, look, we don't think you're cut out for this. And you learn a lot more from that, but still, sometimes it takes months.
Yeah,
So
no, we agree. We do the same thing. So no one comes to training without doing observation day. So they all do it. They might do multiple. They might go out for a week. They might do a day. They might do 2, and we're the same sort of thing. Some guys might leave at 11 a.m. and say, "This is not for me," and just walk away, and that's it, which is great for us. But because they don't become a franchisee when they didn't want to. But we do the same thing. Where we actually have a gym shop on site now up there where we sell merch and stuff too. Which is cool.
How about we just walk to the accommodation for the sake of it?
Let's go to it.
Some people stay here for the training, right?
They do, yeah.
All right, so
I'll show you now actually. So up there, we're actually building Jim's gym. Well, Jim's gym is built, so we always get asked about that. So up there, we've actually got an indoor pool, gym facility, racquetball court, all that sort of stuff.
Is that finished?
It'll be finished by December, but we've been using it at the moment, so we can use it at the moment. So we're going to put a big Jim's Gym logo on there, hopefully, and all that sort of stuff. You'll see our dog wash trailers up there. So we obviously have a lot of trailers.
Please put Jim's head on a cartoon bodybuilder.
I want to. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it done, but I've just got to get it over with them more than anything else. And then up there,
you have the same sense of humour.
We do have a trailer up there, actually, a Jim's Mowing trailer there. So when we do the demonstrations with the trailer and all that sort of stuff, that gets pulled out there, and they show different things up the top there on that concrete mat there. We've actually got a shop there, so that's our gym shop where people can buy merch and all that sort of stuff. Then in there we've actually got a chapel. So if you want to get married, you can get married at gyms as well.
Do you want to get married?
I actually get married next week.
Really?
Yeah.
In there?
Maybe, depending on the weather. But there's actually a chapel in there as well. So people do get married here on the lawn and stuff. It's actually a really good facility. If you work here, you sort of take it for granted a bit because it's such a, you hear at work and all that sort of stuff. But external people, when they come here, they like the campus vibe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the training facility. So they spend all day there. If they want to go to the pool and stuff, they can. Then they come down the path, and then we got all the accommodation over here. So all this accommodation was new. So this didn't exist when Jim purchased the place. Yep. This existed here.
Yep.
Jim lives next door as well. So Jim lives next door over there. But yeah, all this stuff here was built. So all here, and then up, down, right down the back, down the side there, it's all been purpose-built for the franchisees. They do conferences on off weeks here. So if there's an off week here, when there's training, there will be conferences and all that sort of stuff as well.
So you're saying you've got a very thorough survey process.
Yep.
You're calling up people a lot with regards to...
No, so we send customers a survey via text or via an email, and then that goes after 9 days. So it allows them enough time to have the quote done, hopefully, and the job done. Mm-hmm. That goes for all divisions.
Yep.
So, and then, based on that, what the customer says, if it's a complaint, it goes to Jim pretty much, or Jim can see him. And then franchisee gets notified, and the franchisor gets notified, and they've got to sort it out. So we're really strict on that sort of stuff.
Do you have a sort of running table, like, or a ladder? I mean, a sort of like a AFL ladder of who is the best in the country?
Oh, no, we probably could put that data together, but every franchisee has a code and they have a profile in our system, and you can read all their complaint ratios, all that sort of stuff's in that system. And then we can see individually who does really well. You can print out an average star rating report for the division and stuff like that per franchisee.
Yeah.
So we have franchisees in more the once-off lead divisions like antennas and stuff who have like 1,000 5-star reviews and never had one complaint. So, it is a pretty good system, and we sort of can tell. And then Jim actually will wipe it. It's a very touchy process, as franchisees will know the complaint system. So Jim's very strict with what he deems a complaint or not.
Yep.
And, sometimes a lot of people can think, he should be taking my side, I'm the franchisee, but he's very black and white with it. If you follow the process and, you've done the right thing and you can prove that you've done the right thing with evidence, Jim will wipe complaints. But if you haven't done one thing in, let's say, a 4-step process that he wants, let's say text, email, and call the client, you haven't done the email, for example, he won't remove the complaint. So he's very black and white with it, and it's still probably the number one thing in the business that he does daily, is just deal with complaints. So when you've been doing it for long as Jim, he has a pretty good sense of what comes from customers, the concerns. Then he'll change the system most of the time based on the complaints that he keeps seeing come through. So I'll give you an example. Cleaning used to get a lot of insurance claims for chemical damage on marble bench tops and stuff like that.
Right.
So what we did is they've got the option. We don't force people to use anything, right? But they have their own enzyme-based cleaning products, which are really good. They're all natural. They don't harm stones and stuff like that. So Jim said, right, I'm going to up the insurance excess on the public liability policy to $2,500 to any claim when you're proven not to be using the Jim's approved chemicals. If you use the Jim's approved chemical and something gets damaged, it's $500. If you don't use the Jim's stuff, it's $2,500. So
right.
What do you think happens?
Everybody.
They all use the right chemicals, and there's a reduction in insurance claims, mean the premiums can stay low. So he does that based on customer feedback, complaints, all that sort of stuff. And that's just an example of the change. But I'll take you over here. So in the training, franchisees literally just come from up to the path down here.
Yep.
And then they'll go into this facility here, which is our conference centre, which was built. Goes right down the back there too. It's a pretty extensive property with it. There's nearly 100 rooms. And then I'll just take you in here. There might be a conference or something going on at the moment.
We won't get in the way.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We're going to play some chess later?
Yeah.
I'll lose.
Jim likes chess. Yeah.
I haven't played in ages.
Yeah, and then through here we have the training. So every 3 weeks we have all the training here.
Yeah.
And then we have all our suppliers will normally be here, and they'll walk through here to the room here, and they'll eat over there pretty much for 3 days. Everyone raves about the food, the accommodation.
Great.
It's nice and warm. But yeah, it's a pretty great experience that you can stay on site for 3 days, get all your business training, you don't have to go anywhere. You get well looked after, and it's just something that in home services anyway. I don't know anything that exists like this in Australia, even America. We've had Mike Andy's come out from America and shown him around. He's done our training sneakily, then took that stuff and maybe doing his own thing over here. But same sort of thing. We take it for granted a bit the facilities we have here.
I guess it's a compliment from Mike Andy's in a sense.
Yeah,
I'll take it that way
for sure. But basically, I come through here and I eat all their meals and. That's pretty much it. But 3 days here, up and down the path for training.
Can you come and buy lunch here?
They will be, yeah. So Jim's opening a restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Friday soon. Hey, Polly.
Literally this Friday?
I think it's in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be open 3 days a week.
Happening. You're getting married next week. They're getting a restaurant.
No, he's doing it the week after. It's going to be called, I think, Jim's Health or something like that. But Jim's going to be actually, 3 days a week. There'll be like these healthy food options in there, which people from external can come and eat. It's actually what Jim eats himself. He's a bit of a health freak with his stuff.
Yeah.
So he's doing that. He's real passionate about that stuff.
So I'm not going to catch him in the KFC drive-through anytime soon.
Definitely not. But it's funny though, because he loves chocolate and stuff, and you have chocolate lying around, you'll try and sneakily take it and hope you don't see it, and then you catch him out a bit. And
I think he can afford his own chocolate.
yeah, no, he doesn't buy it at home, I don't think, because if he has it, he just eat it all. So he comes in our office and a lot of chocolates and stuff in our office, and he'll just pinch it in, and he'll just hope you don't see it, and you catch him out.
I can't judge him.
Nah.
I do the same with a little bit of chippies there. Oh,
Exactly.
Okay.
I've had fish and chips one time, and he's just come over and ripped my fish in half and just started eating it. hasn't asked anything. And then he puts it back in. It's like, no, you have it. It's like he mustn't have enough salt or something in his, from his healthy food.
Goodness.
But if he sees a bit of junk food laying around, he will get into it. Loves Nutella, so that's his one.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah,
in many different facets. But I didn't expect stealing fish from your plate would be one of the things.
I was just sitting there, and he just come over and just literally, rather than asking if he could have, just picked up the bit of flake and just ripped it in half and started eating it, and then walked over, then came back again and took some chips. And
Did you send an invoice?
I didn't do that, but
give it a try, mate. Next time.
No, it's pretty funny. I sort of think, he's not getting enough salt in his diet, so that's probably why he's doing that. But that's pretty much the facility, mate. So obviously staff will work here. Then we have the lecture theatre for the training every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. It's a good facility. Now, I'll ask you a question. Did you expect a bigger operation in terms of people or smaller? Or?
I've cheated.
Okay.
I've seen some of your stuff.
Right.
So if you're going on paper, I think the most impressive thing to me is how little in the call room, but they're incredibly busy.
Yeah.
And what was that, 13-second wait time?
Yeah, that's just for today, but Jim will want it under, 7 or 8.
Oh, okay.
So he comes in pretty much every day.
I thought 13 was impressive.
No, well, he wants it always better, And Charlene's really good. Charlene's been here for a number of years, so she knows everything under the sun. So she's done a good job in really reducing times and stuff like that as well. But also culturally as well, it can be a tough gig. You're answering calls all the time, and it's not always. Sometimes you have to deal with complaints and stuff like that. So culturally, they do a really good job in regards to team morale and stuff. And it's a good sign of the call centre of having a lot of people who've been there for 10+ years. So there's been a lot of people who've stayed there for a long, long time. So they do a good job.
My thought's always been, as an independent, people would think that, and we've talked about this before, right? People would think that I'd be anti-franchise, but my view has always been that it's a personality thing. There's some people that they suit that.
Yeah.
And it might be a Domino's or a Subway or whatever, if you're not the sort of person who likes to work with your hands.
Yeah.
But you may be better off starting a Subway than starting your own sandwich. Everyone's different. But the thing I've always understood as well, having run a business with, at one point, a bit over 10 employees, it is very hard to manage at scale. And people underestimate that. And that's why I try and bring up the number side of things. Like if you only had 1 out of every 100 people be, a bit of a hassle, you still have 54 nationwide, and that can get a lot of bad rap. And the 99 that are doing either exactly what's expected or even above and beyond, no one's complaining at them. The squeaky wheels, the ones that gets the oil.
Well, the hardest thing for us is our franchisees would love to scale their businesses more, but it's the same thing, just finding good people and stuff. And
it's tough.
I think the most I've heard in Jim's Mowing with the franchisees, 18 employees. And he's got multiple vehicles and stuff, maybe even 20. So most of our franchisees in Mowing, the bigger ones that I've interviewed, they sit around the 8 mark. So it seems to be around 8 employees, similar to you, 8 to sort of 10. But getting it beyond that in mowing or in gardening, it seems to be a pretty difficult thing.
It's tough for everyone. Yesterday I was interviewing Will Gibson Garden, who, if you don't know, he's got 278,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Some of the most beautiful work. He
Yep.
was on Gardening Australia a couple of months ago. He finished the podcast saying, hey, look, if you want some work, I've always got space in spring and summer. I'm always looking for good people. Like, it's really hard to find great employees. And, if he's struggling, the live podcast we did the other night, I said, at the start, I said, how many of you are contractors? And every single person in there put their hand up. I said contractors or professionals. Everyone put their hand up. And I said, how many of you are looking for employees? And I think 20% put their hand up.
Yeah.
And this is winter. And I said, how many of you are looking for work? And they put their hands up. I said, look around.
Yeah.
Meet up. And one girl got a job that night.
There you go. But it's a big problem, and for us as well. But our franchisees, they could have a lot bigger businesses if they could just find some good avenues to staff. There are some apps coming out though. There's one in Brisbane called Kazoo. Kazoo has like a whole database of uni students who from footy clubs and rugby clubs and stuff like that. And some franchisees have been using that, and they pay on the app, and then that gets distributed to the person once they do the task. That seems to be going okay for some people, but if someone could solve that problem, you'd make a fortune.
You would
absolutely make a fortune. But there's people trying to do it. Like that one app called Casu, which is CASU, is only in Brisbane. But that seems to be trying to do something similar, just to make it easy for people. But that problem is a huge one for us.
One more question, which is the obvious question. How much does it actually cost? I don't actually know. If I wanted to, so I'm starting up again, and I'm coming from, maybe I'm an employee somewhere else, I want to get my own franchise. I think this suits me, my personality, style, all that sort of stuff. If I'm starting from scratch, not buying a pre-existing round or whatever, what sort of costs would be involved to start up?
Yeah, you're looking at, it all depends on the franchisor. So we don't actually determine the pricing for the regional franchisor. Mm-hmm. People think that's a bit crazy, but the regional franchisor determines their own price in their region. So some franchisors might sell a new business for $25K, including everything. Some might sell it for $35K, including everything.
When you say including everything, what's included?
Tools, some equipment, trailer, that sort of thing as well. But the franchisor, generally most of the time, yes, new sales are available, but they want to try and get you off on a good foot. So they might sell you a client split or a full split, or someone might be exiting the business and sell a resale, because the franchisor is actually obliged to offer a resale that's in the area first. So if you inquire from an area and there's a resale you've got on the market or a split, you've got to offer that first before offering a new sale as well. So if because we've been going for so long, there's always resales and there's split sales and all these sorts of things available. So new sales do happen still, and 25 to 35 sort of K mark, depending on the equipment type. But
so you sort of saying of the clients would be a way better start. So they're walking in, they've got income straight away, and it's still in the same ballpark, I guess.
And the reason why I know this is because my old video guy Greg, who was before Charles, left us to become a Jim's Mowing franchisee. Yeah. And we did an interview with him, and he's really honest, and he said, he goes, if I had to do it again, I just wouldn't start in winter, because obviously it's a bit more quieter and stuff like that. And he's saying you need to buy clients as well. So I can't remember if Greg bought new sale or that as well, but he said, same thing, buy with some existing clients and don't start in winter if you can. But in saying that, some people like to start in winter because there's a bit more, they may have better cash flow and stuff as well. It's a bit more quieter. They can take their time with things a bit more and get ready for the big spring rush, and they know the system a bit better as well. So it all depends on your circumstances. If you let's say, you don't have overly much savings and stuff and you need to make it work, obviously, if you can't afford to buy existing client run, you do that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I've interviewed people like a guy called Dave, who's no longer with Jim's in Perth, and he was down to his last $2,000 on a credit card and started with an Azito edger and stuff, right? And he just had to make it work, and which he did. So it also depends on the person too. If you're a bit of a salesy sort of person and you can follow the system and do all the hard graft that's required in the early days of a business, you'll work either way. Yeah. But if you're someone maybe exiting the corporate, you want to probably come into something a little bit easier. You do want to take over a client run. The franchisee who's selling you the clients will take you around and introduce you to the clients as well. In our contract, we also have a percentage. So if a percentage of clients drop off within 45 days, you get refunded that money as well. So it's in the franchisee's best interest who's selling you the clients to make sure those clients stick with you as well. But look, 25, 20-ish, 35K range is what most go for. If you've got a good business that's for sale, like a resale with existing large, good equipment, all that sort of stuff, you can go for a lot more. Just all depends. Yeah, that's the range generally.
Great answer. Well, I enjoyed it.
Well, I'll get some merch, mate. Come on.
Well, I just want to say your Tesla's back there. Jim's not in yet.
No, I don't know if he's in.
Let's go quickly do some burnouts on the grass, and we'll get it off camera. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast.